Hey, check out the melody for Mad World really quick, and when you're listening, I want you to keep an ear out for how you might harmonize this. What's up? I'm Avi. Welcome back to May Melody Madness, where I'm celebrating the release of my first online course, the Just Right Music Melody Mastery Mini Course. But for now, let's get back to Mad World, Tears for Fears, and how we can learn to find some chords for our melodies. So say you're Tears for Fears and you have this in your head, right? You have this melody banging around your head and you're like, I want to put some chords to this, maybe put up a vocal harmony or something, or a harmony on another instrument. How would I go about doing that? How do you find the chords that are hiding in your melody? So first of all, we're talking about something that's very specific. There's a word for this. It's called the implied harmony. This is exactly how it sounds. The implied harmony is the harmony that the melody itself is implying through the notes that it's using. And that brings us to the first thing that you need to understand is how to notice where the chord tones are. So first off, what's a chord tone? It's just a note that falls in a chord. Cool. Second off, I guess the second thing, one of those. How do you build a chord and how do you even know if one is happening? Well, it's really not that big a deal, but it is kind of a whole thing. So to make it super easy, you can build a chord or figure out if a chord is happening. If you see a note being used like this over here, see this F sharp, and then you see the note not next to it, but the note after that being used. It's kind of an every other note type of situation. We're skipping that note in the middle, the G, F sharp, G, A. If you see that happening, space, a space, then you see we have another space. If we put that together, well, you just heard it. Oh, we need the C sharp. You hear that now? We have an F sharp minor right there. So the spaces jumping on the staff here from a space to a space or a line to a line is a good little indication that there might be some type of chord there that we can use to either accompany this melody or use it as a harmony. Full major and minor chords are built up of something called triads, and all that means is there's 3 notes in there. And our job here, dealing with the implied harmony, is to figure out which of those triads are used or could be used or are best used. And so we have our F sharp here, skipping up to this next space, an A. By the time we jump up here, we're on this C sharp. If we're sticking with the F sharp minor, that would be the 5th of the C sharp, F sharp, A, C sharp is how you spell that F sharp minor triad. And we're just chilling on that C till we're going back to the A, which would be the 3rd. So we could really just throw an F sharp minor chord underneath this and it would sound great. Let's just make this voice 2, make it easy on ourselves. Make this a whole note. There we go. Let's even make this, let's make this happen with it. Make that a rest, and you'll really be able to hear it. Okay, so what about this 3rd bar? There's very clearly a change happening here. Hanging on this B, going down to this G sharp. What can that be? Well, it can be an E major, E, G sharp, B. It could be a G sharp minor, G sharp, B natural, and then we would need a D sharp. We don't see any other D sharps over here, but that doesn't mean it can't be there. So this could totally just be a G sharp diminished going to a 2, but it's, I think, more likely the flat 7, the E major here, going down to this, which is just our straight resolution back down to F sharp. And that right there really solidifies the F sharp minor. For me, it really feels like we're just going to a 3-2-1 type of thing over there. And then we have the whole thing just continues and it looks exactly the same. We're going to put that over here, make that a whole note, and make this the E major that we believe it to be. Add a G. There we go. Let's do that there. And then I think let's make this half note. Got to bring all these back in. There we go. Take that. Move it there. Really kind of offset that resolution. And then this kind of creates a nice little elision for the next bar, which is still in that F sharp minor. So that's it. That's really all you need to do. The name of the game here is trying to pick out what triads are being used. And if you can even just identify a third and a fifth or a first and a third, that's enough. Go with that. Educated trial and error is going to yield you better results than straight trial and error ever could. That's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you want to dive a little bit deeper into some more melodic tools, check out my free guide, 7 Ways to Write a More Effective Melody. There's a video version of it now. That's super cool. So I'll see you there. However, if you want to go even further than that and you're just like, dude, give me all the tools, give me all the things that the masters are using, both past and present. And for that, you can go and check out my new online course, the Just Write Music Melody Mastery Mini Course. Again, just head to justwritemusic.com. You'll get all the info you need right over there. If you want to stick around and hang out with me here a little bit more on YouTube, you can check out the video that's popping up on your screen right now. That is going to tell you how to write a memorable melody. Thanks so much for watching, for hanging out with me today. I'm Avi, and don't forget to be awesome. Hey, check out this melody I wrote. Hey, it's Avi. Welcome back to May Melody Madness, where I'm celebrating the release of my first course, the Just Write Music Melody Mastery Mini Course. More on that at the end of the video. I wrote this basically just taking some stuff from Mozart, from Eine kleine Nachtmusik. Let's go and check that out now. So here we are. Let's take a listen. Okay, so what did I like about this? First thing I like is I like these arpeggios. I'm a sucker for arpeggios. They are such a beautiful texture, and they work. They work. I did kind of like the syncopation over here. I might use some syncopation. Probably will use it in the form of a quarter note tied to an eighth note like that. And yeah, I like these 16th notes as well. Maybe use some 16th notes. Okay, cool. We got it. We got to our 2 to 3 things. We got an arpeggio, we got some syncopation, and we got some 16th notes. Boom. All right, so first thing, let's start with some arpeggios. Let's see. That's great. All right, let's hear our melody that we basically took right from Mozart. All we did was we took our arpeggiation, we kind of turned it on its head a little bit, but not honestly too much. Then we moved over here where I took this over here, this rhythmic pattern, ba-da-da-da. Instead of doing it more of a tie, I kind of use it as its own rhythmic block, as in a subdivision, as a eighth note, dotted eighth note to a 16th note over here, right? And then I utilized the just descending line over here in this kind of semi-half cadence, just sort of what's going on over here as well. And then we kind of took the inversion of this over here, right? Now it's going up and then down, and going up by 2 and then down by 3. Except instead of doing it as a pattern, we just kind of started down here in our C major, right? And just went right up the scale, right up the arpeggio, keeping up with the arpeggiation, and then having a kind of semi-Alberti pattern there. And then we sequence that pattern that I used the subdivision for, sequencing it up there again, and then using the same ba-da-da-da over here that we have right there. But again, we're using a nice little inversion of that. Whoop. Then at this point, this is just all liquidation, just getting to this C and jumping down the octave, which is just kind of a, you see that a lot with the bum, bum, bum going down the octave there. So that felt very Mozart-y, and yeah, that's why I put that in there. So there you go. That's how you can write a melody like Mozart, take some Mozart stuff, make your own stuff out of it. Not a problem at all. If you want some more melody tips like this, check out my free guide, 7 Ways to Write a More Effective Melody. Head to justwritemusic.com to grab your free copy. There's also a link down in the doobly-doo. But if you want to take things to the next level from there, and you want the same tools that people learn in music school, that composers use for film scores, that the great songwriters use for their own choruses and hooks and projects, you should check out the Melody Mastery mini course, because that's going to give you all of those tools without having to pay tuition, without having to pay a private teacher tens of thousands of dollars over the course of a couple of years. All you got to do is go to justwritemusic.com. It's right there waiting for you. I'll see you there. If you're looking for more composers, for more inspiration to do what I did here, you can check out the video popping up on your screen now. That's going to show you how to write a melody like Debussy. Thanks so much for watching, for hanging out with me today. I'm Avi, and don't forget to be awesome. Hey, I got a fun little challenge for you. Check out the melody for Mad World, and as you're listening to it, try to imagine if you accidentally wrote this yourself, how would you go about making it so that it didn't sound like Tears for Fears anymore? What's up? I'm Avi. Welcome back to May Melody Madness, where I'm celebrating the release of my course, the Melody Mastery mini course. More on that at the end of the video. So what were you able to come up with? Because this is a little bit tricky, right? I'm sure that you, like me, have come across a point in your writing journey where you were just like, crap, man, I just wrote a song that already exists. It happens. It happens to absolutely everybody. Let's just start with the same first bar right off the bat. If we just play ba-da, 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 let's just play that a couple of times, using some repetition here to our advantage, and we're just going to see where my ear wants to take it from there and try and take this out of its context a little bit. Cool, okay. So something that's coming to me right now is maybe doing like ba-da-da-ba-ba, something a little bit faster than what we have in Tears for Fears here. This feels like it's more in 3 now, actually. Let's see what happens if we just put it in 3. So that's it. We have our new melody. Just having this string to pull from my inner ear, I was able to come up with something new, and in this case, maybe even salvage something, so I didn't have to come up with brand new material. Awesome. Let's listen to Tears for Fears and see if we can really hear the difference. You know what sounds the same? That very first bar. And that's it. And that's okay still. There's one more technique I want to share with you that I already employed that is kind of, for me, a go-to: contradictory thinking. I used this right over here when I finally had my rhythm. Ba-da-da, right? So all I needed to think was, okay, well, if Tears for Fears goes up, if I go down, it's gonna sound different and not like Tears for Fears, because I'm doing the exact opposite. I'm contradicting Mad World, even though we started with the exact same musical material. And I did that exact same thing for the little repeat over here. Notice we went, right? Instead of going back up to the E, all I did was go down to the C sharp. I went down instead of up. A simple move like that is all it takes to create a subtle sense of complexity that makes the music feel so much more alive than if you just wholesale directly repeated what you did before. So there you go. That is how you can stop writing melodies that already exist. You can use your inner ear prediction, or you can just straight up do some blatant contradictions to what you're inspired from, and that's going to get you so far into making it your own and making it feel different. If you want more melodic tools to help you elevate your melodies, check out my free training, 7 Ways to Write a More Effective Melody. If you want even more tools, the same tools, in fact, that I learned in music school, but you don't want to pay music school prices like tuition, you should check out my course, the Melody Mastery mini course. I give you all of those same techniques, same concepts that film scorers, classical composers, past and present, that they use, that I use, and I can show them all to you in my course. You can check out both of those at justwritemusic.com. There's one more tool that I want to tell you about, and it is truly a game changer just because of how stupid simple it is and just how effective it is. It's crazy. So click on the video that's popping up on your screen now, and I will tell you all about it. Thanks so much for watching and for hanging out with me today. I'm Avi. Don't forget to be awesome. Hey, check out how I wrote two melodies at once right here. Hey, what's up? I'm Avi. Welcome back to May Melody Madness, where I'm celebrating the release of my course, the Melody Mastery Mini Course. More on that at the end of the video. So what is going on over here? What am I doing? How did I do this? What's happening? The big word for today is called polyphony. In Greek, I think many sound, polyphony. In musical terms, this means that we have more than one melody happening at the same time. Polyphony is one of the big three musical textures, along with homophony and monophony, a kind of musical piece that was very popular in the Baroque period, utilized polyphony, and it's called a fugue. And that is what I wrote here. A fugue basically uses a main melody or subject, and then introduces that subject in every voice that is being used for that instrumentation. In this case, I have three guitars, and you see we have the main melody here, right there. And right where it ends, right where the new voice comes in, is right where the subject ends. And you can hear now this voice coming in with the same melody. And then back here we have the introduction of the third guitar come in with the exact same subject. Great. So, but how do you actually make it work? How do you make this sound good when that's happening and vice versa? What's going on here? The big thing here is called counterpoint. And counterpoint is really just about the relationship between different lines or different voices within the music itself. Now, there's two main components that you want to worry about when you're thinking about harmony and counterpoint. There's the vertical and there's the horizontal. The horizontal component is when intervals get involved. This is when you want to make sure that you're using a lot of thirds and a lot of sixths. Those are going to be your best friends. You can also use like passing lines like 3, 4, 5, 6, something like that. That might be really, really fun. And use a lot of contrary motion, which means if a line goes up, make sure that the other line goes down. That's a really easy way to not run into parallel octaves or parallel fourths or parallel fifths. A neat little trick there. Now, there's nothing wrong with parallel fourths, fifths, and octaves. That's just not how this type of music was made. That's it. That's all it is. Now, next is the linear component. And this is where I'm going to talk about rhythm a little bit. When you're creating this counter melody, or the part that's going to be playing underneath this main subject, you want to make sure that it's creating a consistent texture for that melody to live on, or you want to get totally out of its way entirely. Here's an example of the first one. This second voice is coming in with the subject, and this top voice is all 16th notes just up until this 8th note here. And a good example of the second option, where the voices are getting out of each other's way, is this right here. We have this really fun rhythmic voice exchange of 16th notes going from the top voice to the bottom voice in the latter half, and the vice versa, 8th notes going to the top voice from the bottom voice. As this third voice enters, things get really hairy. We have to still make sure between all three of these voices that we don't have any parallels of those fifths, octaves, or fourths, that we make sure that everything has its place, right? You can see 8th note, and there's a 16th note here in this middle bar. The movement is always being propelled in this kind of music, in this kind of piece, and the voices are taking their turns, popping in and out, kind of playing hot potato with the pulse and with the movement like that. You can see that everywhere. As soon as you see a break in one voice, you see movement in the others. Let's listen to this from the top and really keep an ear out for everything that we just talked about. So that is how you can write two melodies at once, using counterpoint and using the fugue. If you want more melodic tools, check out my free video training, 7 Ways to Write a More Effective Melody. And if you want even more tools, the type of tools that Bach himself, who was the big man writing this type of music, writing these types of fugues, back in the day, you should check out my course, the Melody Mastery Mini Course. Head to justwritemusic.com to find out more about both of those. Now, something you may have noticed is that this was really, really clearly in the key of E major. There was no chromaticism going on at all. And maybe you're just like, I want to learn a little bit more about that. I'm interested in chromaticism, how I can get some new flavors into my music and into my melodies. And if that's resonating with you, you should check out the video that's popping up on your screen now. That's going to show you 3 places where you can add some chromaticism in a melody. Thanks so much for watching and for hanging out with me today. I'm Avi. Don't forget to be awesome. Hey, check out this melody I wrote. Hey, it's Avi. Welcome back to May Melody Madness, where I'm celebrating the release of my course, the Just Write Music Melody Mastery Mini Course. More on that at the end of the video. Today I want to show you something really, really cool that's kind of at the crux of everything that I teach. I call it the Great Melodic Formula. I essentially took what I saw as the main components of really successful melodies, both past and present, and threw them together in a way that made sense for me and for my students so that we can write melodies that sound amazing really, really easily. There's 2 things you need to understand in order to make this happen. The first thing you need to understand is a scale. You need to know what a scale is. You need to know at least one scale. Let's use the minor scale, the A minor scale. Cool. The next step is to assign numbers to each and every note. Let's do that now. Great. Now 8 here is actually also 1 because it is also an A. So now we have everything we need. We have a scale and we have the scale degrees underneath. The first step in the Great Melodic Formula is to create a scale pattern. So all I need to do here is play around a little bit. I love a good 6th. I really do love a good 6th. Yep, that's it. There it is. I found it. 1, 6, 4, 5. 1, 6, 4, 5. So now we can just take this, go away. We don't need you anymore. We don't need these guys anymore. Right here. This is all we need. Maybe let's put in a quick tempo. So at this point, as your ear was playing around and found this pattern, there may or may not be a rhythm already kind of jumbled up in there. And if there's not, that's totally fine. You can do exactly what I'm going to do right now. Add some rhythmic diversity. So these are all just quarter notes. How about we add a passing tone right here? A passing tone is just a note that is passing between 2 chord tones. So let's make this an E, all right? That's just 2 eighth notes. Maybe make this a dotted quarter note. That's step 1. Now we have our scale pattern and we threw some rhythm in there. That's all we need. Now comes step 2, sequence it. All we need to do is repeat what we have now. The same scale pattern is now just moving down. Instead of starting on A, we're starting on G. Now we don't just have to repeat this or sequence one time. We can really do it as many times as we want. Do this again, go down another step. We're sort of already building in some type of harmonic information. This B is really leading us somewhere. Now comes the next step. Step 3, fragmentation. Fragmentation is just when we take a slice of what we've already been using over here, take that and just use that one fragment over and over again, often sequencing that as well. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to take the eighth notes, so that's a pretty solid fragmentation right here. We had this just going one step down with the eighth notes, and then we jumped up by a sixth just like we do here, used that, and then continued it, went down linearly, descending here, and then used it again. So that's really leading us to the E, I feel like, which is our 5. And this brings us to the next step. This is when we have a choice. We can continue to fragment and go on into a new section or something, or we can liquidate into a structural moment like a cadence and just end things off. And that's it. We finished the Great Melodic Formula. We're done. We can take this one melody and make an entire piece of music out of it. Let's listen to it, see how it sounds. So that's how you can write a melody using the Great Melodic Formula. If you want more melodic tools, you should check out my free training, 7 Ways to Write a More Effective Melody. And if you want to learn the Great Melodic Formula and a whole lot more, and have me walk you right on through it in really easy to understand language like I just did here, you should check out the Melody Mastery mini course where you're going to learn that and a whole lot of other amazing, fun, cool techniques that's going to make your melodies, well, masterful. Head to justwritemusic.com if you're ready to be a melody master. Now, if you were interested in what I had to say earlier about this B, about how it felt really strong, there's a harmonic thing going on there, and if you want to understand how to create powerful harmony for your melody, you should check out the video that's popping up on your screen now. Thanks so much for watching and for hanging out with me today. I'm Avi. Don't forget to be awesome. Hey, check out this counter melody I wrote. Hey, it's Avi. Welcome back to May Melody Madness, where I'm celebrating the release of my course, the Melody Mastery Mini Course. More on that at the end of the video. Today, I want to show you how I wrote this counter melody here. Now, a counter melody is any type of secondary melodic line that's happening, usually in harmony with the primary melodic line. So, yes, there's harmony involved, but the hallmark of a counter melody is the fact that it is in itself a very melodic and musical line to play. Let's listen to just the cello. Listen to just how melodic and pretty it is, all just on its own. So even just in this line, it's very melodic, it's very pretty. We have this nice contour going up and then coming back down, going up. Beautiful sequence going on here, matching the sequence in the melody as we wrote it a couple of videos ago using the Great Melodic Formula. And then we dive down into the lower range here before surfacing back up to this A. Now there's two things to keep in mind with a counter melody. You want to know when it's time to go with the melody itself and when it's time to let the melody have some space. When this violin is holding on a note, the violoncello is usually moving into the space that is being held over. You can see that happening here. Violin, holding on the note. Violoncello, going down, right? And then we have the eighth notes here going down for the violin, and that's matching up here with the C and E. You have a nice little 10th happening over here. B to D, another 10th, just parallel 10ths, parallel thirds going down. Really leaning on these sweet consonances. That makes this type of music, this type of counterpoint just sound so beautiful. Now, when we have two lines intermingling like this, we have two things that we could really call a melody. That's a really specific musical texture called polyphony. And it's what gives a lot of music from Bach and from the Baroque period its sort of classic sound. So let's listen to this one more time, and as we're listening, listen for the polyphonic texture. Listen for the independence and the intermingling in harmony of these two lines. So there you go. That is how you can write a counter melody. Think contrapuntally, think about your intervals, give the melody some space, let the lines breathe. And unless you're specifically trying to write a Baroque period fugue or something, or really trying to adhere to strict counterpoint rules and Palestrina strict style, you don't necessarily need to know all of the counterpoint, all these rules, and you don't need to necessarily follow them either. Use your ear. If it sounds good, it is good. If you want more melodic tools that will help you write melodies like your favorite artists and composers, you should check out my free video training, 7 Ways to Write a More Effective Melody, where I will help you make your melody the best it can be in just under 40 minutes. If you want to go deeper than that and learn how I wrote the very top melody here using the Great Melodic Formula, you should check out my course, the Melody Mastery Mini Course. There, I strip away all of the nonsense, all of the archaic bullshit from music education, and just give you the simple tools that actually work. You don't need to have a whole lot of experience in order for this stuff to really transform your melody game. So go and check that out at justwritemusic.com. I'll see you over there. However, if you want a quick overview of the great melodic formula and suss that out before jumping on over there, check out the video that's popping up on your screen now. Thanks for watching and for hanging out with me today. I'm Avi. Don't forget to be awesome. Hey, check out this melody I wrote. Hey, it's Avi. Welcome back to May Melody Madness, where I'm celebrating the release of my course, the Melody Mastery Mini Course. More on that at the end of the video. Today, I want to show you 3 really simple ways that you can add chromaticism to your melody. So the first place where we can add some chromaticism is called a passing tone, and we have a passing tone right over here. A passing tone is a note that falls outside of the harmony of a chord, so it's a non-chord tone. What makes it a passing tone is that it is happening between chord tones, and a chord tone is any note or pitch that falls within a chord. How would we add a little bit of chromaticism here? We can make this F an F sharp. See how that feels. Now you notice how this is an F natural here. We may want to make that an F sharp too. We may not. Let our ear be the judge of that. I really enjoyed that. Just gave us this sense of brightness, this strange brightness that is then just stripped from us. I actually kind of dug that. Let's keep this F sharp hanging around while we move on to the next place where we can add some chromaticism to this melody. And that is a neighbor tone. Like a passing tone, a neighbor tone is not part of the harmony, but the neighbor tone has to be a step up or a step below that harmony. So for example, we could call this F here right at the beginning that we jump up to, we could actually call that a neighbor tone. It's on beat 2, but we quickly move to the E, which is in an A minor triad. And then we're on the strong beat on the D here. The way I'm personally hearing it really feels like a separate harmony, so that's what we're gonna go with. That means that this E is no longer part of the harmony. We can take this and flat it. Now, what about this E natural? Well, right now I'm okay with the E natural, but maybe I'll want to make it an E flat later on. The final way that we can add some chromaticism to a melody is by using the implied leading tone of the next harmony. Now, all that means is we're taking the leading tone function and imitating it, cloning it, in order to make another chord feel like the tonic. This could also, in minor, be the tonic itself, especially when you're harmonizing the minor scale in order to use that harmonic function, which is where we get the term harmonic minor. And in order to make a leading tone, we have to use a G sharp. It's very important that the leading tone is a half step below whatever it's leading to. Did you hear how that G sharp was really pulling us up towards that A? Let's listen to the whole thing. We now have 3 different places where we added some chromaticism. I think I want this E flat to stick around. So those are 3 places that you can add chromaticism to any melody. Look for your passing tones, look for your neighbor tones, and look where you can create an implied leading tone. If you want more melody tools just like this, check out my free video training, 7 ways to write a more effective melody. And if you want to go even further than that and learn how I wrote this melody with the great melodic formula, you should check out the Melody Mastery Mini Course. There you're going to learn everything I did in music school and beyond. I walk you through everything and explain it all in easy-to-use language. However, if you're not convinced and you want to learn a little bit more about it, you should check out the video popping up on your screen now, where you can see me compose the bass melody that we started with from today. Thanks so much for watching and for hanging out with me today. I'm Avi. Don't forget to be awesome. Debussy is just a straight up master composer. Check out how he's using pitch range and the arc of the melody in Clair de Lune here. Hey, what's up? I'm Avi. Welcome back to May Melody Madness, where I'm celebrating the release of my course, the Melody Mastery Mini Course. More on that at the end of the video. So what was I talking about a little bit just now with the pitch arc and all of that? The big thing I'm talking about here is melodic contour. All that is the linear journey that a melody takes along its path to completing a phrase. That's it. Not a big deal at all. But it's a really important detail to keep in mind. And Debussy just gave us a masterclass in keeping contour top of mind, right? Let's dive into this a little bit. So as you can see, first of all, we have this big jump. This cross staff jump is important. It's signifying on an ensemble level that we are moving from low to high. Now, moving down, we see this really, really steady descent, literally just by step, right? So we're at this D flat in F, then we're at this C and E flat. There's these 2-bar mini phrases that happen here. We have one mini phrase right here, and all that's showing us is one jump and slow descent. Then we have a continued descent over here. The descent is briefly paused, and then this next 2-bar phrase here, this little micro phrase, is another point of descent ever so slightly, every single time, popping up, peaking up by sometimes a fourth, sometimes just a third. Here it's a fourth, and it's a fourth as well. And here in our final 2-bar micro phrase. So we have these sections of descent and rest. Descent, peak back up, descend again, and rest. Descend, peak back up, descend, and rest. Until we finally come back down to our very end point over here. Debussy took contour into account when writing this, and you can too when you're writing your own melodies. So be like Debussy. Think about contour. Use it intentionally. Think about pitch range, the space between the highest note and the lowest note. We have here the lowest note so far is this E flat, and our highest note is this A. Right? If you want more melody tools just like this that'll help you write a great melody, check out my free training, 7 Ways to Write a More Effective Melody. Very practically titled, yes, absolutely. If you want to go even further than that, you should check out my course, the Melody Mastery Mini Course. There, I'm going to give you all the tools I learned in music school and beyond. I've packaged it all really, really neatly and easy to understand language. Go and check that out, and the free training at justwritemusic.com. Debussy means so much to me as a composer. I've just been kind of low-key obsessed with his music for a long time now. I listen to Debussy a lot just for pleasure, truly. Being able to write like him and get some of that affect is really important to me, and I can help you do the exact same thing when you click on the video popping up on your screen. I'll show you how to write a melody just like Debussy. Thanks so much for watching and for hanging out with me today. I'm Avi. Don't forget to be awesome. Hey, it's Avi. Check out this part of this art song I wrote. Right, so that voice playback isn't great. I'm Avi. Welcome back to May Melody Madness, where I'm celebrating the release of my first course, the Just Write Music Melody Mastery Mini Course. Today, I'm going to talk about how you can find the melody that's straight up hiding in your lyrics. And the way I'm going to do that is by showing you how I set these lines right here. So let's look at the words on their own, right over here. On one of my regimented walks by the river, I was fortunate enough I already introduced some rhythmic figures that I decided to utilize in the vocal melody itself, particularly the intro to the bass over here. So we have the dotted quarter note followed by another dotted quarter note, or in this case, for notation's sake, an eighth note tied to a quarter note, and then just a regular quarter note, right? So we mimic that same rhythmic figure here. Dotted quarter note, then just a quarter note. Then we have this ba 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 regimented walks. We're still using these dotted figures, but now we're zooming into the rhythmic subdivision to tackle these multisyllabic words. Regimented. Here's where things get a little bit tough, and this is where you really want to pay attention to linguistic stress, making sure that words are being set naturally in the language. And we can do this by lining up strong words with the downbeat. A great kind of almost Mickey Mousey example of this is the word on. The word on comes in literally on the downbeat. That one's a really almost obvious example. It's obvious things like this that you can use that actually play out far more subtly than you think. Most of the time we don't think about things like this, but the more logic, more ways you can find to connect the text with the music that you're setting it in, the easier your job is going to be. The more logic, the more you're able to play off of the rules you're creating as you go. On one of my regimented walks. So regimented here, this is, I could argue, maybe not the best setting of the word regimented, because we have beat 3 over here. We're in 4/4 and mented in the word regimented. Notice where the accent is on that word, regimented. That is a front-loaded accent. Regimented, as opposed to regimented, which is sort of where I am setting it. I'm placing the accent here because mented is on the 3rd beat. However, I was kind of attached to this rhythmic figure, so I made it work. And it's not the worst, but it's not also the best. That's one of the things I kind of made a tactical decision there to say, okay, I'm going to leave that the way it is, especially because fortunate enough did work quite well. And I wanted to have this rhythmic pairing between these two lines. Speaking of, let's go ahead and look at fortunate enough really quick. I was fortunate enough. Very downbeat heavy for sure, right? Fortunate. 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 Perfect. The downbeat is on 4. Fortunate. The next downbeat is on the next biggest accent for that word. Fortunate. I was fortunate enough. Same thing with enough. The E over here is on this D, the 16th note, and then enough right there is on the 3rd beat, which is the next biggest strong beat in 4/4. Fortunate enough. Literally think about the way I'm saying that. I'm going to say that a little bit slower. Fortunate enough. By taking note of where the stresses are in words like this, you can just start to map out where they are going to be in your timetable, in your beat mapping. You can do this in notation software like this. You can do this in a DAW, no problem. You can do this just with pencil and paper, or right here in a text document, just by doing something like on, create an underline like that, on one of my, that's something, my regimented, right? So then maybe regimented is supposed to be big, so maybe right? Regimented, like that. Separate out the syllables of them like this. This can really help you understand where the stresses are in the words that you're setting. Those syllables in the words themselves are going to start creating the rhythm of your melody for you. And that's really cool. For better or worse, that can be really fantastic. Now, don't get me wrong, you don't have to just abide by what's happening and abide by the words of the rhythm as they appear in cadential speech. It is a really nice starting point. You can use that, maybe blow up the rhythm of how it might sound more conversationally, and that can lead to some really beautiful moments. For case in point, right here, golden hour light, da 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 da, golden hour light. That's exactly what I did for golden hour light right here, and that is just such a beautiful moment. That led me to the harmony over here. All of this stuff, it just gives you more and more fodder for ideas. Super cool. So let the syllables and the linguistic stress of the words and the text that you're setting, let that be your guide. Let that do the heavy lifting for you, And then everything just feels so natural, even in weird music like this that I'm making. So there you go. That is how you can start formulating your melody using the words and the text that you already have written down for your project or your song or whatever's happening with you're working on that you want to work on, that you want to do the music thing for. If you want more tools like this, want to get your melodies and want to make them more effective, check out my free guide, 7 Ways to Write a More Effective Melody. If you want to go even further than that and learn the same tools that masters of past and present use, check out my debut online mini course, the Just Write Music Melody Mastery mini course. You can learn more about both of those below. There's a link down in the doobly-doo. However, if you just want to hang out with me here on YouTube, that is totally cool. Check out the video that's popping up on your screen right now, and that will answer the age-old question of whether or not you can write an original melody over chords that you straight up stole from another song. Thanks for watching, for hanging out with me today. I'm Avi. Don't forget to be awesome. Hey, what's up? Check out what's going on with Mozart over here for a second. It's also in Mad World, right? Tears for Fears. Right in the beginning, coming up, right over here. What's going on there? What is that? They're doing kind of the same thing. You see how it goes up by a space, goes up by from space to a space, big boy like that. Same thing over here, jumping down to this line, then jumping up again. What's going on here? Hey, what's up? I'm Avi. Welcome to May Melody Madness, where I'm celebrating the release of my first online course, the Just Write Music Melody Mastery mini course. We are making a ton of videos in May. I'm not saying exactly how many. It's going to be a lot. It's going to be a lot more than I normally do, because normally it's like once a week. It's going to be a lot more than that. Okay, but what's going on here in Mozart and with Tears for Fears? The answer is arpeggiation. Mozart and Tears for Fears, the awesome band, they are using arpeggiation to not just bounce in and out of registers, which I've talked about in a previous video. They're also using it to hit specific notes and to give us a specific kind of texture. There's a very interesting sound that arpeggiation has. An arpeggio is any chord whose notes are not played simultaneously. So for example, if we took this C chord, C, E, G, C, that's all we're doing here, and we made it an arpeggio, it would look like this. C, E, G, and then C. That's it. This chord here is the same thing. It's the same thing. One is just played at the same time, and the other is played with the notes separated out. That's all an arpeggio is. This is such a common and useful technique. It can create so many beautiful textures and allow you to jump all over the place, especially if the instrument allows it. Something like a clarinet, which has an octave switch, or a piano, which just has an obscene range. You can really use arpeggios and to jump in and out of these chord tones in different registers and keep everything sounding really, 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 really good. Now, obviously, it's not just Mozart or Tears for Fears who do this, and these arpeggios are literally everywhere, going through every single type of music. Literally, guys, Stranger Things. The theme for Stranger Things, it's just an arpeggiated chord. That's the whole theme. I'm not detracting from it. It sounds fantastic. It's a wonderful theme. The point being, it's not engaging with seriously amazing, ridiculous musical material. This is really accessible knowledge that if you put a little bit of time into your musicianship and into learning some of the musical mechanics, being able to utilize arpeggios and getting the technical skill down on an instrument, it just opens up a whole world of beautiful textures and options and really wonderful fast music, and not even fast music, and slow music. Think about Beethoven's Moonlight Sonata. A lot of those old Alberti bass lines, those are all using arpeggios a lot of the time, or some type of varied arpeggio. Use the arpeggio in your music. When you're writing a melody, this is the melodic tool that will increase the breadth, the scale, and the pitch range, ultimately, of your melody, because these arpeggios just allow you to jump in and out of all the chord tones. That's how incredibly useful these are. These can truly make or break a melody. Every single note is in the chord. Everything sounds like it has a place. There's no dissonance, literally at all. And that's what an arpeggiation gives you. It gives you the ability to go fast, ability to use structures to your advantage, as well as the ability to create moving patterns using the same intervals and the same distances between notes while still changing the chords. You can take this texture and just do so much with it. That's all I have for you today. That's how you can use arpeggiation to make or break your melody. It is just Use it. It's so good. You're probably already using it without knowing it, but now you can use it with more intention. If you want more tools, melodic tools to help you make your melodies more effective, check out my free guide, 7 Ways to Write a More Effective Melody. There's a video version of it now, and that's really, really fun. However, if you want even more and you're like, dude, I want all the tools, I'm willing to pay for it, check out my new online course, the Just Write Music Melody Mastery Mini Course. It just got out of beta. We got some great feedback from it. Go and check that out, justwritemusic.com for both of those. However, if you want to chill here with me on YouTube, you can check out the video that's popping up on your screen now, and that's going to show you how you can write a melody just like Debussy. Yup. Thank you so much for watching, for hanging out with me today. I'm Avi. Don't forget to be awesome. Hey, it's Avi. Check out this melody I wrote. What if I told you this whole melody, this thing, was taken very much using material solely from Brahms's famous lullaby? You know, you've heard it, lullaby and goodnight, all of that stuff. That's this lullaby, and I took it, made it mine, and created a whole new melody out of it. And today, I'm going to show you how you can do that too. What's up? I'm Avi. Welcome back to May Melody Madness, where I'm celebrating the release of my first online course, the Just Write Music Melody Mastery Mini Course. Okay, so here we are. Let's listen to this classic Brahms lullaby. Great, so this is just those first 4 bars. Really simple melody, really beautiful melody. Let's fish for some objects. First thing I'm seeing right off the bat that I'm probably going to use is this 2/8 note motive over here. I like the thirds happening over there. I like the 8th note, ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba. I like that as well. These are mostly rhythms I'm thinking about and intervals. It's a lot harder to take inspiration from some of these more simple melodies because the objects they use are so emphatically what makes them sound like themselves. That can be really tricky, right? Especially with the intervals. So we're going to keep the tempo. We're going to keep the key. It's going to be in E flat as well. How about we take this? Let's create a sequence just sort of with that. I'm just going to do that. That's how I'm going to play this. Whoops. Oh, let's change the key as well. Okay. I just hit K to bring that menu up. E flat major. That's where we're at. C minor works fine too. How about we change the harmony to... All right, let's see what we got here. Let's see what we got here in a little Brahms melody. I need another one. Yeah. Let's see how it sounds. Very so pretty. Very so pretty. Those aren't English. It really had still this Brahmsy kind of feel. Really still gave us a lullaby type of vibe, even though we have a different texture. A lot of the same rhythms, a lot of the same objects, same tempo, same key. It doesn't matter whether or not the melody that you are working from, your inspiration source, is something crazy ubiquitous like this incredibly beautiful and time-tested lullaby. The simplicity of it can be a little bit more challenging, and that's just a task. It's a challenge. But it is totally doable as long as you are able to use the tools, the melodic tools that are available to you. If you want to have more of those tools, at your disposal. Check out my free guide, 7 Ways to Write a More Effective Melody. There is a video version of that now, so check that out. If you want to go even further, just want all the melodic tools, the same stuff that masters of the craft of today, you can use as well if you check out my course, the Just Write Music Melody Mastery Mini Course. You can head to justwritemusic.com to check out both of those at your leisure. There's a link down in the doobly-doo. Now, something you might not know about Brahms over here was Brahms was like really obsessed with that Beethoven guy, and Beethoven, as you know, he's a big boy in the classical world. If you want to write a melody just like Beethoven, you can check out the video that's popping up on your screen right now. That is going to help you write a melody just like Beethoven. Thanks so much for watching and for hanging out with me today. I'm Avi, and don't forget to be awesome. Check out how bad this melody is. Nothing special, right? Nothing special at all. What's up? I'm Avi. Welcome back to May Melody Madness, where I'm celebrating the release of my first online course, the Just Write Music Melody Mastery Mini Course. Today, I'm sharing a really, really quick melody tip that's going to take any boring melody, literally as boring as this, but I'm going to show you just one little trick that's going to blow this wide open and make even this something, at the very least, usable. That is called the octave trick. Now, all the octave trick is taking a note that feels boring to you and throwing it up or down an octave. Now, which way do you go, up or down? That is something that you can glean from the music itself, or you can just follow your ear. Either way. Let's discuss that first one, though. How can you glean from the music which way you should go? It's all about melodic contour. If we're already going up, then go down. It's all about opposites. If you've been going down, then go up. So in this case, we've been going A, C, D, up to E, and then we have this repeat of an E. So I'm going to hit this an octave down. That's what I'm going to do. So now we have this. That E, even though it's just an octave, we're going down, but it did wonders for the contour because we just have this single line going up like this, and suddenly, bam, all the way down, just like that. It adds contrast. Really wonderful. Then we jump back up, right, which is fine. We're kind of jumping back into our normal register. And another repeated note, I'm going to continue this same thing and just do that again one more time, right? Because now this is adding a little bit more balance to that first bar. Already, for me at least, that is so much better. Honestly, we could even just literally done. Maybe that one goes up because we've been going down, so if we're going to use that same rule, we try that. Not bad. Let's see how it sounds down the octave, continuing this descent. Yeah, I think I like the first one better. Keeping with the task at hand, keeping with the method I just taught you. Let's listen. That is already so much more interesting than that first version of this was. Just by looking at a little bit of the melodic contour, taking some repeated notes, plumping them down an octave over here in this bar 2, and then up the octave in bar 3. That's it. That's all we did. That's how powerful the octave trick can be. So that was just using the music itself of what's happening in the melody as a guide. Let's go back, do it the other way. Here's a little palette cleanser of what it sounded like before. Yuck. So much more boring. Gross. So now, all right, we're taking this. We're going to do some octave play. Octave play. Uh-oh. Let's not get demonetized. So now I'm just going to sort of go with wherever my ear is taking me. So let's go up this time. Let's use one of these C's that we didn't do before, right? So we have this. Love that so far. Yep. Love that so much. Oh my God. Oh, so this is one of my favorite things to do with the octave trick is to use these really like disparate jumps to create some wonderful sounding resolutions that ultimately are like not extremely technical. These are the same notes. We are still just using the same notes. These are 3 A's, but we're just spreading them across the octave, making those A's sound as different as possible. Let's hear this fun little melody. Oh my gosh. I like this one better than the first one. Follow your ear, guys. There's like inquisitiveness in there. We don't know where we're necessarily headed. Same pitches, and yet it's dramatic. It's just way more dramatic, and the drama creates intrigue, just like reality TV. Boom. So there you go. That is how you can use the octave trick to make any boring old melody crazy, crazy fun. If you want to learn more tips just like the octave trick, you should check out my free guide, 7 Ways to Write a More Effective Melody. There's a video version of this now, so you go check it out. It's going to be really, really fun. I'll see you over there. In fact, if you want even more and you want to learn not just the octave trick, but like all of the super fantastic melodic tools that melodic masters of the past and present today use, you should check out the thing that I mentioned earlier at the beginning, at the top of the video, my new course, the Just Write Music Melody Mastery Mini Course. Check out both of those at justwritemusic.com. There's a link down in the doobly-doo. However, if you want to hang out with me here on YouTube for a little bit longer, and I don't blame you, it's cool over here, we got some fun stuff going on, check out the video that's popping up on your screen right now. That's going to help you learn how to write a powerful harmony for your melody. Thanks so much for watching and for hanging out with me today. I'm Avi. Don't forget to be awesome. Okay. Listen, I know I talk about Ode to Joy a lot, and it's fine if you just want to like know. It's not the end all be all, but like the dude's pretty good. Check out Ode to Joy right here and listen to how he's using form. Hey, what's up? I'm Avi. Welcome back to May Melody Madness, where I'm celebrating the release of my first course, the Just Write Music Melody Mastery Mini Course. More on that at the end of the video. So, Beethoven here is using something called ternary form. There's 3 sections. That's really it. There's an A, there's a B, and then there's an A again. So right here is the A section. This A section in and of itself is made of something called a musical period. And this is one of the building blocks of musical form. Now, there's 2 constituent parts to the musical period. This is the antecedent, and this is kind of like setting us up a little bit and usually ends in a structural moment called a half cadence. The second phrase is called the consequent, and this phrase usually ends in some type of strong cadence, like a perfect authentic cadence from 5 to 1. And that's exactly what we have going on here. Now, within the antecedent and the consequent, we have what's called a basic idea. And this basic idea is kind of the musical material, the main musical material that we're talking about that is being used here. So in this case, the basic idea would be this repeated note following by a linear step up or 2, then another repeated note, and then a linear step down or 2. And notice how we have the same thing, a note, repeated note, linear step up, repeated note, linear step down. Now the B section of a ternary form is usually based off of the dominant. Very dominant heavy. In fact, we have an awesome little secondary dominant right here with this D major over F sharp. And this F sharp is acting as a fun little leading tone to the G. Tonicize G a little bit and really make it feel like we're in G. But then we go right back to C for our final phrase, which is, as Beethoven is using it here and commonly executed elsewhere, kind of just a restatement of the consequent phase of the period. So what I want you to take away from this with these forms is notice how much they tell us. Notice how much information they're already giving us off the bat. Beethoven did not hear this half cadence because that was part of his genius. He heard that half cadence because that was the way music was written in his time. Think about it like the way a verse goes to a chorus. It's the exact same thing. And you can also sound like this by using the same structures and the same forms that Beethoven and people of his era were using. So there you go. That's how Beethoven was using form to write the melody and the entirety, really, of Ode to Joy here. And this right here, these 16 bars, is kind of the whole spiel. That's sort of the whole deal with Ode to Joy. It's just this extrapolated, orchestrated, arranged, and done in a bunch of different ways with a bunch of different textures. If you want more melodic tools, you should check out my free video training, 7 Ways to Write a More Effective Melody. If you want to go even further than that and learn basically what you would learn about melodies in music school, except without without having to go to music school, because I already did that, and I'm just going to tell it to you right off the bat, check out my course, the Melody Mastery Mini Course. This is not a music theory course. This is not a classical composition course. This is a melody course. This can be applied to any genre. You can check that out as well as the free video training at justrightmusic.com. However, if you want to dive deeper into why you should or shouldn't write with a form in mind, check out the video that's popping up on your screen, and I'll see you right there. Thanks so much for watching and for hanging out with me today. I'm Avi. Don't forget to be awesome. Hey, check out the beginning of this melody, and as you do, listen for how you might end it. Where is it? What's going to happen? I don't know. Hey, what's up? I'm Avi. Welcome to May Melody Madness, where I'm celebrating the release of my course, the Melody Mastery Mini Course. More on that at the end of the video. So what did you think? Was your ear showing you anything, showing you the way into how to end this melody? Well, if not, that's totally okay. I'm going to show you a couple tools that you can pull out when you need to end a melody, just like I need to right now. The first thing I want to share with you is called fragmentation. All we have to do is take a slice of what we were already doing. I'm going to take this bit right here, like that. And let's just put that right there on this first beat. And let's add one more, just we're on 6/8. So let's keep the 3 groupings, and let's just add another beat right up there, just like that. Ba-da-da. And then let's take this, and you bring it down the octave, sequence it up, and then let's just end on D. All right, not too bad. Fragmentation helped us end that melody. Another thing that we can do is something called liquidation, kind of the exact opposite of fragmentation in the way we're going to use it. Basically, just get to this D in some way, or maybe an A, or whatever structural moment, whatever note you're trying to get to, just get to that note in any way, shape, or form that you can. This can be just a straight scale, linear, descending scale pattern, something like that, anything. So we're just gonna make all of these dotted quarter notes and build our way up to that D. Let's make this C sharp, add some harmonic minor, done. Now finally what we can do is combine both of those together. We can fragment and then liquidate. Let's do this a little bit differently this time. Now let's take this part and maybe kind of invert it a little bit. Something like that. And then let's just throw some 16th notes up in there. Give these some slurs. You a slur. Awesome. There it is. So there you go. That is how to end a melody. You can use fragmentation, you can use liquidation, and you can use fragmentation and liquidation in combination. If you want more melodic tools, you should check out my free video training, 7 Ways to Write a More Effective Melody, where I give you those 7 tools that's in the title, titular, eponymous, in less than 40 minutes. However, if you want to go even further, you want to learn how I did what I did here, like exactly, you should check out my course, the Melody Mastery Mini Course, where I share with you all the melodic tools that I learned in music school, nice and neatly packaged into a mini course where you don't have to go through formal training, you don't need to pay a bunch of tuition. I strip away all the nonsense you don't need to know. Check out the free training as well as the Melody Mastery Mini Course at justrightmusic.com. Now, something that was going through my mind when I was listening to this just now was just how easy it's going to be to make a beautiful counter melody with this, especially with just dotted quarter notes in the background, creating some type of overarching theme. It's going to be so beautiful. If you want to know how to create a counter melody, you should check out the video that's popping up on your screen. I'll see you there. Thanks so much for watching and for hanging out with me today. I'm Avi. Don't forget to be awesome. Hey, check out this melody I wrote over some very unoriginal chords. Hey, it's Avi and welcome to May Melody Madness. Today we're going to answer a really common question that I hear from a bunch of my clients, and that is it okay to write an original melody over chords that you found in a song? First off, yeah, it's okay. Of course it's okay. That's totally fine. Let's look at what you're looking at right now. This is now blank. We're looking at the most classic chord progression of the last 40 or 50 years. The 1, 5, 6, 4 chord progression. Please, in fact, I insist that you go learn a song, take the chord progression, and make something new out of it. Here's why that this is okay. The chords themselves and even the way they function in chord progressions, those aren't copyrightable because there's so many other things that you can do with them that make them unique unto your piece of music. Let's hear how it sounds. You'll recognize it immediately. Yeah, right? It's everywhere. You've heard it. I've heard it. Everyone's heard it a million, billion, trillion times. It's not a trillion. It's trillion. Just want to get that straight. Let's write our own original melody over this. And what we'll also do is maybe change this texture a little bit. Let's do that right now, actually. Let's change this texture because that is one of the biggest ways that you can take something and make it your own. Wherever you found it from, you can change it. So let's, instead of using these big ol' whole notes, let's make this like a fun Alberti bass type of thing instead of that. Let's hear how that sounds. It sounds like other things, yes, but I clearly just wrote this myself. I'm using very common tools, using a very common chord progression, but that's nothing, right? Let's make a melody over this, and now it'll like really truly feel like its own piece of music. Start on this E. So there we go. We just took the most common chord progression ever, changed the texture over here, some Alberti bass stuff, made a little melody over it. I was really just kind of following my ear. I wasn't trying to do any patterns. I definitely fragmented this a little bit more. And these 16th notes kind of came out of nowhere. And then I added some triplets as, I guess, a liquidation. Let's listen to it. I could copyright this right now. You can go take this exact left-hand chord progression, do all of this, make your own melody, and then you can go and copyright that for you. Go find one of your favorite songs that you've just most recently learned, take the chord progression, write something of your own over it. This mechanism is how music and how composers innovate, make themselves better, and make music and music culture as a whole better. If you want more free videos here on YouTube, just click on the video that's popping up on your screen now. I'm Avi, and don't forget to be awesome. Hey, check out how Beethoven organizes the form of Ode to Joy here. Hey, it's Avi, and welcome back to May Melody Madness, where I am celebrating the release of my first online course, the Just Write Music Melody Mastery Mini Course. You can head to justwritemusic.com to learn a little bit more about that. But for now, what I want to discuss is whether or not we should think about form at all when we're writing a melody or just writing music in general. Form is the intentional arrangement of musical motifs, themes, and structural moments like cadences that allows us to create a very specific kind of music that's catered to and was mostly written in the 17th, 18th, 19th century. But that's really when form started to sort of fall by the wayside a little bit more. Let's take a look at Ode to Joy. Beethoven here is using something called ternary form, and this is when you have three main sections. So we have 16 bars here. The first section is this first set, this 8-bar phrase. This is in itself a period which has two 4-bar phrases, one of which usually ends in a half cadence, the other one usually ends in a authentic cadence. I didn't do the authentic cadence here because it's an inversion here. That's just me though, because see that? I arranged this left hand of the piano. That was me. This next section here, which is really common in ternary, is to make it more or less dominant heavy, certainly more dominant heavy than the first section was, and that's certainly true in this regard. Finally, the third section is oftentimes, and in this case, a direct repeat of the ideas from the first section, and in this case, we're really getting into that cadence. We're making that happen now at the end. When I was a younger writer and composer, I thought about this a lot. This was something that was on my mind a lot because for me, form was this intentional organization of music that communicated a sense of refinement or a sense of education or a sense of higher skill that ultimately, that's not true. It's just kind of a template more than anything. I asked my teacher when I started studying privately after getting my degree, should I think about form at all when composing? And the answer is no, you should not at all think about form when you're writing. Music has form whether you intentionally put it there or not. There's so much in music that relies on patterns and the repetition and variation of those patterns. By the nature of us just being a listener in the world and having internalized and had in our ears tons and tons of music over the years, we are already naturally predisposed to using some of the forms, not just our present in classical music, but popular music forms particularly, like strophic stuff. It's everywhere. Whether it plays by them or breaks them, it creates its own rules, and those rules are in themselves some type of form. So no, do not think about form when you're writing, unless you're trying to specifically write with specific forms, like a period or a musical sentence or sonata form or a rondo or a ternary. And that is helpful. So there you go. That is the answer to the question whether or not you should be worrying about form when you're writing a melody or writing music in general. If you want to learn some more melodic tools to help your melodies be more effective, check out my free guide, 7 Ways to Write a More Effective Melody. There's a video version of it now, and that's really cool. I'm super excited about it. I will see you there. If you want to go even further and learn the tools that all the masters of the great composers of the past, all the master film scorers of today, you want to learn all the tools and thematic and melodic tools that they use, then you should go and check out my new mini course, the Just Write Music Melody Mastery Mini Course. And that's going to give you all of those tools without having to deal with going to music school or paying tuition or paying a private teacher. It's going to give you all of those melodic tools in like super easy to understand language. It's not crazy jargon heavy. So you should go and check that out at justwritemusic.com. You can also grab a copy of my free guide there just because that's free. It's for you. However, if you want to just hang out with me here on YouTube, you can check out the video that's popping up on your screen now, which is going to help you write a melody just like Beethoven. Thanks so much for being here and for hanging out with me today. I'm Avi, and don't forget to be awesome. Hey, check out how I harmonized Brahms' classic lullaby here, and as you do, listen for how I placed these dyads, these little harmonies here in the left hand. Hey, what's up? I'm Avi. Welcome back to May Melody Madness, where I'm celebrating the release of my course, the Melody Mastery Mini Course. More on that at the end of the video. So what did you make of that? Let's break this down bit by bit. First off, we're in this kind of E majory place for sure. This is a 3-3-5, where I'm arpeggiating here up this E major chord, and that's all fine. I'm using this arpeggiation sequence, this jump down and going back up, jump down and going back up, kind of like an opposite of Clair de Lune, I guess. because, I can't stop thinking about Debussy for my life. Fucking Debussy. So that's not all that big. That's not the big thing that I really want to talk about. The big thing is what I mentioned at the end, was these dyads here. These little harmonies are always coming in on the downbeat, literally on every single downbeat of every single bar. The other part that it comes in is over here on beat 3, but not always just on beat 3. Here in bar 3, it's on beat 3, but in bar 4 over here, it's not on beat 3. It comes in on the end of 2 over here. Now, what's going on there? And why does that sound so damn good? Listen to it. Ugh. Doesn't that just sound like it was perfectly made for that melody? But Brahms didn't write that lower left-hand part. That was me. There's this idea in counterpoint where you sort of want to let the melodies, the single lines breathe a little, right? You want to kind of give everything their space. And as I was harmonizing this, I was trying to think contrapuntally. I was trying to let the melody have its space. So that is why you see this happening on beat 3, where, guess what, look at there, there's nothing happening in the melody in beat 3. It's allowed its space here. This arrival is given its own moment. And then the same thing is happening here. But instead, now we have something on beat 3. So instead, the arrival is a half a beat early on the and of 2. And that still allows it to have its own space, while the melody picks up an eighth beat early than it did earlier in the previous bar on beat 3. It's just dumb how good that sounds. And you can see this happening echoed in bar 5, because we have the same rhythm in bar 4 that we have in bar 5, so we have the exact same resolution. Let's listen again, and this time really give an ear for how the left hand of the piano here is coming in between the notes in the melody. So there you go. That is how you can write a harmony that will perfectly fit a melody. If you want to learn melodic tools that are just going to make your melodies super crazy good, check out my free video training, 7 Ways to Write a More Effective Melody. If you want even more tools that go even further than that, give you the tools, the things that I learned in music school and beyond that I just developed on my own and through my own private study with my teacher, check out my course, the Melody Mastery Mini Course. That's going to give you all those tools. Go and check out both of those at justwritemusic.com. Maybe you're looking at this, however, and saying, man, how do I write a melody just like Brahms? Brahms is just so good. Well, I do that in the video that's popping up on your screen where I teach you how to melody like Brahms. That's right. I just used melody as a verb. Thanks so much for watching and for hanging out with me today. I'm Avi. Don't forget to be awesome. Hey, check out what Brahms is doing here in his famous lullaby. And as you do, I want you to listen for how you might harmonize this melody. Hey, what's up? I'm Avi. Welcome back to May Melody Madness, where I'm celebrating the release of my first course, the Just Write Music Melody Mastery Mini Course. More on that at the end of the video. Today, I want to show you 3 places that you for sure know that it's safe to harmonize a melody. The first place that we can throw a harmony into our melody with 100% confidence it's going to sound good is looking for the structural moments. So in this 8-bar phrase for Brahms's famous lullaby, we have 2 main sections. We can bisect this right here at bar 4 into these 2 4-bar phrases. So what you want to do when you identify those is just put the harmony right into the bar preceding the structural moment so that the harmony is happening with the structural moment. So right over here, we have this E flat going down to a D, going down to a C. We could very easily harmonize that just with thirds. Boom. Just doing that is already perfect. The other place would be right over here, this final structural moment. So how about this time we do a lower harmony? So if this is a B flat type of chord, we can make this an F. We can use the 7th here and then resolve to a beautiful little G like that. Absolutely beautiful. The next place in your melody that is ripe for harmonizing is any dramatic moment, or likewise, any moment that is void of drama. For example, we are just kind of hanging on this A flat in the melody. I'm not a huge fan of that. Maybe we can use some harmonies here to spice that up. It's like we have F, A, C, right? The F is actually right over here already. That's right underneath it. Just like that. Notice how it gave that moment just a little bit of pop. The final place that's really great fodder for harmonization in your melody is for any time there's a repetition. So right over here in the beginning, we have the G's to B flat, and we can do that. Ba, ba, ba. And maybe this next time, a lower harmony. Just like that. Did you hear that? All we changed was the voicing just a little bit. We added a lower harmony, and the melody is kind of retained as the top voice, makes it feel like it's still floating on top a little bit. That harmony coming in that second time, it just made it feel sweeter. It made it feel familiar and novel at the same time. And if you can tread that tightrope, the tightrope between novelty and familiarity successfully, you're a great writer. So there you go. Those are 3 places that you can add a harmony with 100% confidence to your melody. If you want to learn more fantastic melodic tools just like this, you should check out my free video training, 7 Ways to Write a More Effective Melody. If you want even more tools, I can tell you about something else. We talked about it a little bit at the beginning of the video. My new course, the Melody Mastery Mini Course. You can head to justwritemusic.com to learn about both of those. I'll see you there. Now, if you want to learn a little bit more about harmony and how you can make a really powerful harmony for your melody, you should click on the video that's popping up on your screen now. Thanks so much for watching and hanging out with me today. I'm Avi. Don't forget to be awesome. What's up? I'm Avi. Welcome back to May Melody Madness, where I'm celebrating the release of my first online course, the Just Write Music Melody Mastery Mini Course. Today, we're talking about something really, really important when it comes to melodies, and this can be a little bit tricky because it is often the place where melody and harmony tend to overlap. We're talking about structural moments. Let's listen to the first 4 bars of Eine kleine Nachtmusik here by Mozart, the Mozart boy. See if you can hear any structural moments happening. Now, what we're listening for when we're trying to identify a structural moment is the motion and the interchange between tension and resolution. Now, here in the beginning, in these first 2 bars, we're solidly resolved. We're staying on the tonic, we're in C major, it's not a big deal. As soon as we head to bar 3, however, we are now in a more dominant place. This is an inverted G chord, right? This is a G7, G dominant 7 over D. That's introducing a solid amount of tension. Being able to identify where the tension is going to help you find these structural moments, because the tension and resolution, the interplay between them, is how those structural moments are usually identified. Now, when you have an ear out for this, for that tension and resolution, you can start to really hear the structural moments at play. And structural moments, you really can only tell where and when they are based on greater context of the piece itself. So let's go into this a little bit more, and we'll be able to pick out some of these structural moments by paying attention to the interplay between tension and resolution. So let's go over some moments that were very clearly structural. One thing that makes structural moments super, super clear is anytime there's a texture change. And that's exactly what we have going on here from bar 4 to bar 5. We have this big texture change in the left hand of the piano, doing these eighth notes, these chilling on these eighth notes, freaking rock and roll Elvis style. and really creating some really wonderful motion and really wonderful momentum. So right there, over here, another really easy way to spot a structural moment is by looking for longer duration rhythms or straight up moments of rest where things just stop entirely, right? We have this rest here. That's kind of an indication of what I'm talking about right now. We have another rest over here in both voices, both the left hand and the right hand, and that really feels like a structural moment, even though there is not really a cadence here. So then we move on to this section, new texture as well. Now we're on half notes in the left hand, eighth notes in the right hand. We have these half notes with the eighth notes kind of plunking through on this sequence, very much hanging out in a bit more of a dominant place here. We're hanging out on the G, we're hanging out on the F here, and then we're resolving down to the E and doing a straight up cadence right over here with the C, G, C right there. Perfect structural moment. We have the break over here. We have a difference, a little bit of a liquidation maybe in the left hand, the texture here. Then we are continuing on, and we have a repeat of this idea, and finally leading us to our main end of the structural moment there. So right there, even just in these 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 bars, we have quite a few structural moments that Mozart is leading us into. If you can learn to listen for these moments in the music you love, in music generally speaking, in the music you hear in your head before you're even writing it, you're going to have such an easier time arranging your music, hearing the final vision of it, because these structural moments and the tension release interchange allows us to create patterns and to understand patterns, vary the patterns, manipulate them to create them into something that only we are able to do, because only our brain is doing it in the way that we are able to do it. Because every brain is different, and every way that we process is different. So there you go. That's how you can listen for structural moments in your melody. If you want to get better at melodies, check out my free guide, 7 Ways to Write a More Effective Melody. If you want to go really crazy and just like, dude, I just want to make my melodies as good as they can, I want all the tools that all of the masters have had in the past, and I want the tools that like John Williams, Howard Shore, Danny Elfman, Hans Zimmer, the same tools that they're using when they're thinking about their themes and their melodies. You should go ahead and check out the Just Write Music Melody Mastery mini course, because that's exactly what you need right now. That is where I'm going to give you all of those tools without needing the music degree. Head to justwritemusic.com and check out the Melody Mastery mini course for yourself. If you're not ready quite yet and you want to spend a little bit more time with me seeing what I'm about, you can check out the video that's popping up on your screen right now that's going to help you write a more memorable melody. Thanks so much for watching and for hanging out with me today. I'm Avi, and don't forget to be awesome. Take a listen to this melody, and as you do, listen for how the articulations are shaping the feel and the overall character of it. Hey, what's up? I'm Avi. Welcome to May Melody Madness. In fact, the very last day of May Melody Madness, where I was celebrating the release of my course, the Melody Mastery Mini Course. More on that at the end of the video. Today, I want to talk about the power of articulations and how keeping them in mind as you write, especially if you write on an instrument, is going to help your melodies sound so much more musical and lyrical and just overall better. As you notice in the melody here, we had some solid articulations going on, and we have the staccato here that's repeating in the second and third beat of every bar here. And then for beat 4, 5, and 6, we have a nice legato instead. An articulation is when we change the way that we play a note on an instrument. For example, these staccato notes should be played short. We want to create space between the notes. And these legato notes should be played as if we were trying to create a continuous sound, like there's no space at all between the notes. The combination of these two articulations, particularly because they're in such close proximity, really makes them stand out. Let's put this to the test. Let's take away all the articulations and see what that sounds like. That's a pretty big difference. Wow. Those articulations truly change the way those notes are played and how we get to the notes themselves. The big thing that's changing here between the staccato and the legato is the attack of the note. With legato on a bow, you are keeping the bow going as you change notes. It's similar to a hammer-on or a pull-off on the guitar. However, when you don't have a slur line, and especially when there's staccato notes, you are actually striking each note with the bow. And with staccato, you're making those strikes even smaller, giving more space to each note. All right, let's bring back our articulations because, oh boy, that was kind of rough without them. Let's hear how this sounds maybe by taking this last grouping of 16th notes and just having them be staccato instead. Very nice. I really liked that, actually. It really changed up the feel and kind of made me feel like we were just kind of dancing up to that D. And that felt really cool. So there you go. That is the power of articulations and how you can use them to make your melody feel more alive and feel more dynamic. If you want more melodic tools, check out my free video training, 7 Ways to Write a More Effective Melody, where I share you those 7 tools in just under 40 minutes. If you want to go even further and check out the whole reason why I made a bunch of melody videos in May, you should go ahead and look at my Melody Mastery mini course. There I distilled all the melody tools I learned in music school and everything I learned teaching my clients over the years and to put it all into one neat little package so you can just get up and running, writing amazing melodies as quickly as possible. Head to justwritemusic.com to check out both of those. However, if you want to see how I wrote this melody in the first place and how we created this ending for it, check out the video that's popping up on your screen now. Thanks so much for watching and for hanging out with me today. I'm Avi. Don't forget to be awesome. Hey, check out how I harmonize this melody. Hey, what's up? I'm Avi. Welcome back to May Melody Madness, where I'm celebrating the release of my course, the Melody Mastery Mini Course. More on that at the end of the video. Today, I want to show you how you can take a reharmonization of a melody, just taking the same melody, putting different chords underneath it, and take it to the next level by considering a couple of more musical components to really make things feel different. First, I have a different harmonic rhythm, a different rate that these chords are changing in this first phrase than I do this second phrase. 2 chords, 2 chords, 2 chords, 1 chord, 2 chords, 1 chord. 1 chord, 1 chord, 1 chord, 1 chord, 2 chords, 1 chord. Very, very different. Another thing that you can see is that in this first phrase, I'm very much trying to give the melody its space and fill in the blanks. Over here we have the 8th note going from A to C up on the first beat here, 1/4 note here in the violin. 8th notes in the violin on beat 2, quarter note. And this continues. We have the dotted quarter note going up to this E, and then we have an 8th note on beat 4 right here filling in the space. Conversely, along with just the single chords here, I also went for a totally different texture. I went for just straight 8th notes to completely serve as a moving texture and a bedrock for the melody to live on. I created this big old curve. You can see that happening, this whole contour that just crests and falls over and over again. Finally was the different harmony itself, right? So I have this A here, we're really like solidly in A minor. Instead, I reharmonized this whole thing to be a D minor. So we're starting on this D, this big old 5th here, this D and this A, and we continue that motion sequencing down like we do in the last 2 bars. We're just chilling on an E minor 5 and then doing our solid harmonic minor boy into the A minor. So there you go. That is how you can reharmonize a melody. It's a great tool for taking the same musical material and being able to express something totally new with it. If you want to learn 7 tools that are going to totally change your melody for the better, check out my free training, 7 Ways to Write a More Effective Melody, where I give you these game-changing tips in under 40 minutes. If you want to go even further and learn the tools of composers past and present without having to go through the rigmarole of formal training, no archaic concepts like figure based, and no one's going to make you do that, you should check out my course, the Melody Mastery Mini Course, where I do exactly that and give you all of these concepts in easy to understand language, easy to understand examples. You can learn more about the Melody Mastery Mini Course and the free video training at justwritemusic.com. There's a link down in the doobly-doo. Now, this second phrase, this second reharmonization, really just sounds so beautiful in and of itself on its own. It almost sounds like a counter melody. And if you're interested in learning how to write one of those, how to create this beautiful sense of intermingling melodies with a polyphonic texture, you should check out the video that's popping up on your screen now. Thanks so much for watching and for hanging out with me today. I'm Avi. Don't forget to be awesome. Hey, Tavi, listen to this melody, and as you do, see if you can pick out the objects that are being used in it. Hey, what's up? I'm Avi. Welcome back to May Melody Madness, where I'm making a video every single weekday in the month of May to celebrate the release of my course, the Melody Mastery Mini Course. More on that at the end of the video. Today, I want to talk about how you can find objects in a melody so that you can take that musical material and use it for more things. Use it for a longer piece, prolong a section out, or create a whole new melody using those same musical components so it sort of sounds like that other melody and they're connected in that way. The first thing that you want to look out for is rhythm. What type of rhythmic durations are being used? What kind of notes are being used? And which notes are being used a lot? So right over here, right off the bat, we have some 16th notes here, right? These two. More 16th notes, 3 16th notes right off the bat. So we're using 16th notes. We've got a dotted 8th note, got 8th note, more 16th notes, more dotted 8th notes. And these dotted 8th notes are tied to another 8th note. So right there, this tie over a downbeat and then playing on the offbeat. That's another thing. So right there, rhythm, we're using syncopation. We're using 16th notes, dotted 8th notes, and 8th notes. We're also seeing triplets over here come in a little bit more and more 16th notes. So we know what type of rhythms that we can use to make it feel like this melody and make things go further. And you can see me using this over here as I foreshadow the coming of this melody. I'm using the similar types of rhythmic durations, the same object, right? Dotted quarter note tied to a downbeat that is now allowing for some syncopation and some stepwise motion, just like we have right here. The next thing you want to look out for when looking for objects is harmony. What chords are being used? What harmony is being implied by the melody itself? This is going to give you a really solid flavor that you can harken back to. In this case, we are just, oh my gosh, so much in D minor. It's just so D minor. We have a D, D, A at the very beginning. It's 1155. As you listen, the D minor really gets sold to us. We're in D. That D feels like home for sure by then, if there was any doubt about it before. And we can go even deeper than that into just what chords are being used. Now we can dive further into specifically the intervals. This is number 3. Use the same intervals. Intervals are just a way of measuring the distances between notes. So for example, if you have a C and you're moving to a D, you are going a second. C is 1, you go to the next note, that's going to be 2. Go to the note after that, that's going to be a 3. And just like chords, intervals have qualities. You use the terms major, minor, augmented, and diminished, and those have their own sets of rules that really are their own video. So what intervals are being used here in this wonderful melody, this beautiful chant? Well, first off, this 1-5 motion, that's a fifth. We have some stepwise motion. Stepwise motion means that we're just moving by one step or one note at a time. So we're just using a lot of 2s intervallically right here. We're just going one note at a time. This wonderful figure is almost kind of like Dies Irae, sort of. Right? So right here, jumping up by a third, going down by a fourth, then up by a second, up by stepwise motion, and then down by a third again. I mimicked that exact motion. A flat up to C, that's a major third. going down to that G, that's a fourth, and then up by a second, and instead of going down by a third, instead of going down to the F, instead I went to the A natural. Check out the ramp up to this and listen for the objects as we've found them so far. So that is how you can find the objects in any melody and take that melody, use it for your own inspiration, do something else with it, and still have it be totally your own while hearkening back, even quoting outright sometimes what you're inspired from. If you want more melodic tools that is going to just level up your melodies, make them so much better, check out my free video training, 7 Ways to Write a More Effective Melody. If you want even more than that and you want to learn the same tools that you would get from music school, but you don't want to pay tuition, you don't want to go to music school, which I don't blame you. I loved it, and because I loved it and did it already, I can share those tools with you. So you should go ahead and check out the Melody Mastery mini course, where I share all the things that I learned from music school with you. You learn just the melody stuff in easy and understandable language. Oh, I'll see you there. Yeah. Now, what we effectively did here is that we foreshadowed this melody. If you want to learn a little bit more on how I did that, you should check out the video popping up on your screen right now, and that's going to tell you how to foreshadow a melody using the same material, the same piece that I have right here. Thanks so much for watching, hanging out with me today. I'm Avi. Don't forget to be awesome. Hey, check out this little mini melody I wrote. Ooh, looky here. What is that? What happened here? This is what's called a mini melody. As I said, a mini melody, a micro phrase. These are very, very helpful for helping us build our compositional sense, build our ear, build these little ideas that can become the genesis of greater ideas for larger and bigger pieces. And today I'm going to write one of these in front of you just to show you how easy it is, even with zero inspiration whatsoever. Hey, it's Avi. Welcome back to May Melody Madness, where I'm celebrating the release of my first course, the Just Write Music Melody Mastery mini course. More on that in a little bit. For now, let's get back to writing some mini melodies. The easiest way to do this is by using an instrument that you can already play, whether it be a piano, guitar, it doesn't matter what genre, what instrument. That's the best way to do it for sure, just going right to the source, to an instrument. For example purposes, I like using the staff, especially when I'm composing in a more classical space, and that's just a me thing. That's just a me preference thing. If you're not hearing anything, if you don't have any inspiration coming to you immediately, I'm going to use the scale degrees to create a pattern for myself, and that pattern is going to be the mini melody. Let's just get a really quick C major scale up here. Done. All right, so let's create a pattern. I'm gonna pop this up the octave. Cool, so we have 1, 2, but we're kind of going up, making it a 9. Popping that up the octave, I call that the octave trick. It can be so helpful, even already. It took those first 3 notes of the C major scale and already made it so much more interesting. I don't like the F there. Boom. That's it. It's just supposed to be 1 bars, 2 bars, maybe 3 bars max. Nothing longer than 4 for sure. 4, you're kind of already, if you've ever taken any kind of music theory before and you've ever learned form, like a musical sentence or an idea, we're kind of taking just the basic idea component of a period, of a musical period, and learning to write just that. It's crazy how easy that came together, sort of let my ear decide for me. That sounded cool. Gonna stick with that. Quick, easy decisions can really yield some amazing results down the line, especially if your ear just checks off on it. That's really easy to do, and that becomes a whole lot easier over time because you're able to feel more confident in your decisions. So this is all we need, right? Totally fine. Let's create like a nice little, just little chords underneath. Nothing crazy. We'll just half notes. Let's make it some pretty stuff. Yeah, start it on C. Yes. Yes. C major 7. Pretty. Yeah, do you hear that? Oh man, it's kind of doing like this C major 9 type of thing now. Beautiful. We can even just let this be the half note. Another set of whole notes. This is a G. Let's maybe do a something, I don't know, like an F add 9. Oh, an F add 9. What the fuck am I thinking about? Yeah. Ooh, F add 9 over C. What's happening here? That's all right. Not the vibe I was going for, though. This also feels way more like a piano type deal. Classic. Cool. Basically what I'm doing now is just deciding on where I want to land, but the main mini melody itself is done. That's it. It's just these 2 bars. And this is a great way to start building up the connection between your inner ear and your instrument. Whatever you're writing on, whether it be your instrument, whether it be a laptop or notation software, DAW, doesn't matter how you're writing or what you're writing from. So that's how you can write a mini melody or a micro phrase. If you want more melody tips, check out my free guide, 7 ways to write a more effective melody. There's a video version of it. This video is part of my May Melody Madness. That is in celebration of the release of my first debut course, the Just Right Music Melody Mastery mini course. This is the stuff that you learn when you go to music school, when you go to conservatory. I did that. I did that for you, and now I'm just kind of bringing you the tools that I learned, and I'm just giving you all the practical tools. Go ahead and check that out if that's interesting to you. That's the Just Right Music Melody Mastery mini course, or check out the free guide, 7 ways to write a more effective melody, if you just want to get your feet wet. If you're looking for more free tips and videos just right here on YouTube, you can check out the video that's popping up on your screen right now. That's going to show you how you can write a melody like Claude Debussy. I'm Avi, and don't forget to be awesome.